Hi guys, it's John from B&B Campers. Just going to show you your, or at least do your handover video on your Adria Izola. So registration just down there. So your under the bonnet is your brake fluid, just here attached to the servo, just over here at the back. Power steering fluid goes in through this reservoir just here. You can see the nice red coloured fluid in there. You then got your washer fluid just here at the front with the yellow cap. Your engine oil goes in through this cap just down here, if you can see it. And your engine oil dipstick is this little yellow one just there. It's a little bit awkward to see it, but that's where that is. Your engine coolant is this one just here at the top of the engine. Sorry about the noise. Fire engine. Right, so yeah, engine coolant sits up in here. This is obviously your expansion tank for your radiator, so the actual radiator has its own fluid as well, but expansion tank for the coolant is just here, and you can see there just at the top of its mark. Turbo and everything is all down here, so if you were ever under the bonnet after driving the vehicle, make sure that you absolutely definitely do not put your hand anywhere near any of this. It'll be so hot. I mean, there are little heat shields on it and things. Your cold side is this side, but just make sure that you don't go anywhere near this. This is basically the hottest part of the entire engine, so just be sure not to go anywhere near that if you can. Your engine battery sits under the floor in the cab in this particular chassis, so your positive terminal for the engine battery is just here. You can use this kind of like engine hoist here as a negative, or there's probably a negative point dotted around somewhere specifically for earthing for the for jump starting, but I'm not exactly sure on this particular chassis where it is, so I'm pretty certain you'll be able to find it somewhere, but I can't seem to see it off the top of my head. But anyway, like I say, positives there, and you can use this engine hoist there as an earth. If that doesn't work as a decent earth, anything with sort of like a bare metal, so anything down here would probably work quite nicely. Or if you have a negative on a battery somewhere, then obviously then you know you can work it out, but that'll be fine. So yeah, coolant, engine oil and dipstick down there, washer fluid, power steering fluid, brake fluid. Air filter sits underneath this nice big box up here, and yeah, so you got all your big aircon pipes. Those are all these big sort of corrugated tube pipes over here. Anything that looks like that is all to do with air conditioning. All of these bits down here for your lines as well, for redoing your aircon and stuff. So yeah, that's that. The bonnet release on these particular bodies, these Renaults, are on the passenger side, and they're up underneath just there. We'll carry on around the near side for the minute. So you got your freshwater inlet, so that's this one just here. I've lubricated that because it was completely stuck on before. So if you see what I just did, so if I just show you how to take it off, you need to push in and round to the left. Not if you just try and turn to the left, nothing will really happen. Push in and round to the left, and then you'll be able to take this out. Push in and round to the right till it stops, and if you want to lock it up, it's this key here. Key goes in, turn it 90 degrees, take the key out, and that way the cap will just spin. You can't take it out. All right, obviously the same opposite for taking it out, but that's that. Toilet cassette locker. You've got a fresh water flush on this one, so you haven't got any separate flush fluid to worry about on top. So you literally pull up on this little lever here and then pull the entire thing out. Once you've got it out, all you need to know really is that you've got your emptying out part is this bit just here, so you unfold it and then take the cap off, and you've got this little button at the back here which you need to hold down when you're emptying it out. So, but that's about it really. The only other thing you need to know is that this little yellow turny bit here turns your actual flap. If you see that opening and closing, if you so basically when you get into the van, I'll show you in a minute, but when you open the flap on the inside, that basically just turns this, so that opens the flap like that. So if you leave the flap in the open position, you will not be able to take the cassette out because it locks itself in place like this. Same for if you want to put this back in, you have to make sure that this is closed and in its straight position, otherwise it won't go in. If I show you, turn it like that, go and push it in, doesn't go any further than that, and obviously that's not in. I'll take it out, turn this, goes all the way in and locks itself up from here. So that's your toilet cassette. Very similar idea of locking the actual locker, apart from it's a different key. It's this key here, and all the toilet cassette lockers are the same. There's only one that actually locks. Key in, turn it 90 degrees, key out, and then you can't push that in anymore and it won't move. So this bottom one will still push in, but the top one won't. These two outside lockers are a little bit stiff to get working, so I've got them working properly now. Your wastewater drain is that one there. I've got it in the open position at the moment, just so that I can drain out any water that I use in a minute. If I close this back over, you've got this key here. Just try and do it with one hand. So is this key here for these outside lower lockers. And if I just show you, key goes in and it basically just turns it like that. So key over, push it in a little bit when you're doing it. Key comes out and that's locked up. These lower lockers, you do need to give them a little bit of a push when you turn the key, just to make sure that you basically get it completely closed up. Then got your gas locker over here, so you've got space for two of these 13 kilo propane bottles if you wanted them. Obviously these are the biggest ones that you can fit inside here, and really they're a little bit over the top for, you know, for your general kind of camping at a campsite and things like that. The 6 kilo propane bottles are more than plenty, but we thought we'd just leave this one in here because this one was in here when we got the van. So it's about half full, I believe. So you've got about 6 kilos of gas in there, loads of gas in there that'll last you absolutely ages. So anti-clockwise turns the bottle on, clockwise around to the right turns the bottle off. If you want to, like, an easy way to remember how to do that, when you go to turn it on, if you go all the way on and so you can't go any further, when you come back to the van to turn it off, you cannot go wrong, because obviously it'll only go one way. So then you know that you've got to go clockwise round to the right to turn it off. Just a little tip. This is a brand new pigtail. I had to replace it because the old one was completely out of date. So what we got on there, what date? What does it say? 2022 on there, so you've got till 27 to replace that. So they last 5 years. Your regulator at the back looks reasonably new to me. It might not be, but it does look pretty new, so it's in good condition. There's not a load of tape hanging off it, like PTFE tape, which is a good sign. So yeah, that's all good. You don't need to worry about any of this. This is all just for me testing on the hab check. So there's no leaks inside the vehicle as we speak, and everything's working as it should. This locker just behind it is just to give you access to your garage, which obviously is a humongous garage. If you ever needed to get in from this side, you can do. And you've got your boiler just here. The only thing I'm going to show you on the boiler is this little bit just here. So you see there it's in its upright position. That means that the boiler isn't going to let any water out. If I push that down now, the little red button, if I pushed it down, all the water from inside the boiler would drain out. So what it means is it's what you call an automatic dropout valve. So when it gets to sort of 2-3 degrees, that kind of temperature, it will drop the water out from inside there. You can put things on them to stop that happening if you wanted to. It's not really advised, because the reason they drop them out is so that it doesn't freeze inside and crack all the pipes. So if you can avoid you know, not doing that, if you know what I mean, then that is handy. Some people put things around them to stop them dropping out, but the trouble is, if you forget that you've put that thing around it and it actually tries to drop out because it's so cold, but it can't, then obviously it'll all start to freeze up, and then everything will start cracking and splitting. So make sure that you do sort of let it do its thing if you're not going to be using the van. But if you are going to use the van, then obviously you can then sort of drop it out as and when you need to. But yeah, what else have we got down there? Is that a little fresh drain? I'm not sure, I don't think so. No. Alright, so that was that. The back of the van, obviously you've got your ladder to go up to the top, and I think Kelly was saying yesterday that you guys looked at it, and the ladder from the inside for the bed over the cab is the ladder that hooks onto there, so that should be all good. What else we got? Bits and pieces down there. Obviously you've got your spare wheel in here, which is just that big wing nut there to get that out, and the bottom of your sort of sleeping bunks up there. I'll just close that over a minute. So these locks just here, if I just show you, because I know you popped down on the list about making sure that they all work. So it's this key here for all of these style ones. All you need to do is just turn it 180 degrees, and then that'll push in and lock like that. So now I can't take that back out. To unlock it, key in, turn it, it'll pop out, and then you can turn the actual lock. All right. So again, you do have to push on the actual locker a little bit to get it to close. It's the same on all of them. Key in, turn it, and then push it in. Exactly the same. Turn your actual lock, key in, turn it, and that's that. External gas point is this one just here. So if you wanted to, a barbecue or something like that outside, you can plug that straight into there. Hookup point. So if you're at a campsite or at home, you've got access to a hookup cable. That's ideal, because then your leisure battery will be topped right up. And obviously, if you have power going into your leisure battery, keeping it topped up, then you're never going to run into any issues of the battery going dead or anything like that. So if you have access to a hookup cable, or if you have the chance to have power at a campsite, then I would advise it, just because it makes life easier when it comes to keeping your batteries topped up. If you've got a cable plugged in, you don't have to worry about power for your battery whatsoever. So that's where you plug that into. Just push that over a little bit. Nice little wet storage in here, same as the other side. But I just thought I'd show you this locker. I'll show you me closing it properly, because this is the one that was actually problematic. So I did have to take this little lock out. And there's a little screw on top of all these locks. Just there, you see the little crosshead screw. Basically, that was just seized on, so I just cracked that off. And then once I'd done that, it came back to life again. So you can see when I'm turning the key, close that over all the way up, and that's it, locked in position. Right, so these little vents just here are your fridge vents. Now, I have written on the habitation sheet, I've tried to be completely honest with you about it. There is a bit of a smell coming through here. The exhaust for your fridge, when you lit on gas, basically just comes, the burner's here, exhaust comes up and comes out up here. So you can see the sort of black marks in there. The smell that's coming out of it is purely because it's not been used for a long time. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with it, because when I had it lit up for about an hour yesterday, the fridge was freezing cold, so it's actually working really well. But there is a smell coming from it. So I'm certain that if you keep using this for a little while, light it up on gas as much as you possibly can, then that smell will go away. And in fact, it's a lot better than it was today. So I have written on the habitation sheet, I don't recommend that you light it up on gas and leave the door or this window open when you're lit up, because the smell that comes through isn't very nice. But like I say, the more you use it on gas, the better that smell will get, and then it's sort of just up to you as and when you want to leave the door open and things. There's not a huge amount you can do about the smell. You can clean the sort of the burner module out, so if it does come to it and it sort of keeps on going, then obviously we'll have to do that for you. But I'm pretty sure the fact that it's already better today, says to me that it just needs a bit of use, to be honest. So if you can do us a favour and just kind of try using that as much as you can on gas, and just see how you go from there. But if not, just let us know and we'll sort it out. Diesel filling cap is this one just here. Obviously you need your ignition key to open that up, so that's this one. And I'll just briefly show you around the cab. So it's all nice and simple in the cab. I'll just right. So you've got, another thing that was on the list was to fix this better. It's much stronger now. I know that before it was kind of just flopping around all over the place when you were driving. So if you when you start driving this, you'll notice that I've managed to secure it on much better. You've got air conditioning, which works from that switch just there, and you've got your recirculate button there as well. So you can sort of go through, this is all your fan speed setting, fan temperature, where the air goes to, obviously your windscreen, things like that. So you can really go through and make it your own. 6-speed manual gearbox. Reverse is lift up on here, over and up to the top left hand side. I'm sure you've already seen that, but I just thought I'd mention it anyway. Having the 6th gear in on motorway driving is so much better. So I'm sure you're going to like driving this. I've driven it a few times myself actually, and it does drive really nicely. really nice and straight. Your lights are on this left-hand stalk here, so you've got side lights and then main beam. You then also got your fog lights, so just front or front and rear, or that might actually be rear and front. Yeah, I think it's rear fog light and front and rear fog light. Indicators obviously from there as well, and your horn is on the left-hand side of that on the little end button. Washers and wipers are on the right-hand side. You've got a single DIN Kenwood head unit just there, which by the looks of it, it's got pretty much everything. You've got CD, Bluetooth, so you can answer your phone from this little button just there. MP3, you got a little USB and aux point just there as well. So yeah, I mean that's that's pretty much all you can get from them, really. That's pretty much the best one you can get. Hazard lights works from this little button down here at the bottom. And the last thing I was going to show you was that you've got your electric adjusting mirrors. So you basically choose which mirror you want to move, so right or left, and then just use this like a little joystick to move the mirror as and where you want it. And your electric windows from there. So let me show you around the inside. So I know that Kelly mentioned that you've been down and had a little look. I just wanted to make sure you're happy with this. There was absolutely no saving the rubber that was there. It was all melted and horrible. Why someone hadn't sort of gone to that and fixed it in the past, I don't know. But anyway, it's all sorted now and nicely sealed in around the edge. I tried to make it as neat as I possibly could, so I hope it's all right for you. But yeah, and the other thing I'm going to mention straight away, we've sort of had a bit of a discussion about it. These little cracks in the table, there's all sorts that you can do with it. I mean, there's people out there that will come out and fill them and then just try and match them as closely as possible. But the trouble is, and you know, I could fill that and make it nice and smooth and then respray the entire table. That's fine, but I don't think it'd be worth doing that, because then you'd have an odd table. It wouldn't match any of the, you know, any of this. I just think it would look horrible. So see how you get on with it. If you do want something doing with it, there are, like I say, there are people out there that sort of specialize in doing this kind of thing, but you know, that's sort of up to you. Then we can't really do anything that will make it look perfect. So we kind of, you know, it's no good for us to try doing it at all. So anyway, just thought I'd mention that, get that out of the way. Right, so your control panel is up here. So it's the world's simplest control panel. You've got a main on and off switch for your 12 volt and pump up here. So if I just turn that off, pump turns off there, and then your 12 volt, if you push on this side, the 12 volt will turn off like that. So if I turn the pump back on, your little light comes on. So as long as your 12 volt and your pump switch is on, and your boiler drain dropout is upright, you can then come to the sink here, pull the water through. Now the first thing you want to do is go to your hot side like that, and just make sure that the water's coming through like this. If the water doesn't come through like that and the pump doesn't switch itself off, it means that there's air in the system somewhere, and basically it means that you're not up to pressure. If you're not up to pressure yet, you shouldn't use your boiler on hot water. All right, I'll show you how to do that in a minute, but you shouldn't use it until you've done this and just proven to yourself that your boiler is full of water. If the boiler was empty of water, I can guarantee you wouldn't get that water coming through there on the hot side with your pump on. If there was no water in the boiler and you pulled the hot water like that, you just get nothing coming through the tap for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then after it had filled itself back up again, you then start getting water come through. All right, that's the only way to test that it's full or not. Cold water, obviously the same thing. Difference being, even if your boiler is empty, the cold water will normally come through nicely like that anyway, as long as you've got water in your fresh tank. Reason being, the fresh water doesn't have to run through the boiler to get to here. The hot water side, basically, it comes straight from your fresh tank, but instead of coming straight from the fresh tank over and up to here, like the fresh water, like the cold water side does, the hot water side goes from your water tank all the way through to the boiler, over and then up. So if the boiler is empty, you won't get any water coming through here until the boiler's full. All right. So that's your water pump, all three. So your sink, toilet, and your shower are all good. There's no leaks anywhere on any of it. So it all comes through really nicely. Good pressure. Toilet, like I said, is a fresh water flush. So as long as you've got a little bit of water in your water tank and your pump switch is on, push that button there. I'll just show you in a second. Water comes through there into your cassette. Right, so once you've done that, you can do your pump, and if the pump, you can leave the pump switch on if you want to, because there's no leaks anywhere, it wouldn't run on or anything like that. The only other bits that are on this control panel is that you've got this little light up here, this little diagram. If you plug a hookup cable into the van, this little light here will come on and prove to you that your battery charger is working and that you're hooked up. The only other ones you've got is you've got a battery level meter for your leisure and your engine. So push left to see the leisure battery voltage, push right to see the vehicle battery voltage. So about 75% on them both, they're good. And if you want to see your fresh water level, push left on this one. See there, we've got what? It's nearly full, I think. And right for the wastewater. See the water level ones, I say the same on all the vans. The water level meters aren't really, you can't really go off of them, to be honest, because they, over the years, they get corroded. They've got prongs inside the water tank, which basically, as soon as the water touches them, it will then show you that there's water there. But the prongs get so corroded over the years that they tend to not be very reliable to look at. So basically, if you use up all of your water, you're out of water. Keep your waste tap closed for when you're driving around, because it stops anything splashing around. Yeah, it's really not that hard. When you start to realise how much water you've got, you'll know. You don't tend to forget. Right, so that's your control panel. Various light switches dotted around the vehicle. Some of them do. So you got the 3 lights just up there, which are nice LEDs. This button here does your awning light. So, where is it? There you go, other way. Awning light on there. That's that one. So actually that is in the off position for your awning light. Various lights around the vehicle. You've got a couple of lights under here actually as well, which obviously I've gone through and made sure that all the lights work. Extractor works exactly as it should as well, and there's probably going to be, so this little bit in this cupboard here, this bit here is away like that because it needs to be like that, because the extractor will go out, and there should also be a little vent on the outside. So that little vent there is for your extractor fan. All right, just so as you are aware. I'm just going to open that up because it's bloody hot in here. Right, so your 3 burner hob. I'll be honest with you, again, another thing is that I couldn't get this igniter switch to work, so we'll give you a clicker igniter. To be honest with you, I would carry around a clicker igniter anyway, because these igniters are probably one of the most troublesome things on the vans. They are so frustrating, always kind of like sometimes working, sometimes not. So we'll give you one of those so that you've got that. Literally all you need to do is just push in and round to the left to light this one up. Same for this one, does this one at the back, and this one does this one here. All right, so it is as simple as that. Let me just open up this window as well. So whilst I'm here, once you've opened up all of these little catches, basically open the window up, you'll hear a little click, and then you'll be able to leave it where it is. The next click will be a little bit further out. There'll be one more, like that. So you can leave it like that if you want to. If you want to pull it back in, you need to push it a little bit further out, and then it will drop back in on itself, and then you can close it up. But I'll just leave that where it is for a minute. Right, so that's the 3 burner hob up there. The only thing I will point out as well, that's obviously all nice and straightforward, just like any hob at home, but the only thing I do need to tell you is that if you light any 3 of these up and use it for a little while, for whatever reason, you need to make sure that you leave it, once you've turned it off, do not put this lid straight down. I've seen it so many times before. If you put the lid straight down, it will shatter the glass. All right, so just make sure that you leave that up until they've cooled down properly, and then you can go ahead and close it up. Right, so sink up there, I've shown you that. Let me run you through your fridge now then. So the fridge is nice and simple. I've resealed the fridge as well. There wasn't any sealant running around the edges. So you see there, I've resealed down all the edges there, so that you shouldn't get any fumes coming through into the van. Right, so the fridge works 3 different ways. You've got gas, 240 volt and 12 volt. So it's all pretty self-explanatory. The only one that isn't self-explanatory really is the 12 volt one. So the 12 volt switch there will only work when your engine is running. All right. So if you start the engine up and then change down to your 12 volt symbol, it'll work straight away, basically. The only thing I will tell you, again, it's the same on all fridges, on all motorhomes, it's not just this one. The 12 volt way of using the fridge will only keep your fridge at the temperature that you've got it at. It doesn't get the fridge. So if this fridge, like right now, this fridge is going to be warm, okay? I've only had it lit on gas for about the start of this video, or 25 minutes. So it will only just be starting to cool down at the moment. If I switched over to 12 volt now and then started the engine up and drove somewhere, it would stay at the temperature it's at. It won't get warmer, but it also definitely won't get cooler, all right, if that makes sense. So what you need to do is before you go away on holiday, you need to get the fridge cold first, either by lighting it up on gas, obviously your bottle needs to be on, and then light it up, or get a hookup cable plugged into the van and then use the 240 volt symbol here for that. All right, so obviously the hookup will only work when you're actually hooked up on mains, and it's just basically a big element in the back of the fridge. So the gas and the 240 volt are the only ones that will get the fridge cold first, like on its own, okay? It's up to you which one you use, it really doesn't matter. But I would always advise, if you're gonna go away, say you're gonna go away tomorrow morning, you know, wherever you're gonna go, I would recommend that you light this fridge up on gas or mains electric the night before you go with all your stuff inside it, and then by the morning you'll be able to switch over to 12 volt, drive where you're going, and then when you are there, switch back to one of these other two. Obviously the reason that you have to use a 12 volt is because you can't light it up on gas for when you're driving, because your gas needs to be switched off before you start driving. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Most people would obviously just leave this on gas for the most part. Again, if I'm being honest with you, I would try and steer you towards using gas anyway to get rid of that smell. But you know, it's up to you. It's up to you. So, cutlery drawer. You've got a main socket just here, so if you're hooked up on mains, you can use that. More storage under there. And this one underneath. Again, just a load of storage. I think we've got gas isolator taps in here, so if you wanted to isolate a specific appliance from the gas, you can do so from here. So on the right there, you've got the boiler gas isolator, fridge gas isolator, your hob isolator, and your grill isolator. So you just turn them 90 degrees, and then that isolates them from the gas. Wardrobe, you've got all sorts in here. Well, not all sorts, but quite a lot. You've got your paperwork in this brown box here. Loads of paperwork in there. Your electric trip switches are these ones just here. So if you plug something dodgy into one of the plugs, it'll trip one of these two, or it'll trip this one here on the right. So that's where you need to go if you find there's a problem with any of your electrics. Your TV aerial, your tilt and turn TV aerial is there, and the TV aerial booster that it's connected up to is that one just there. To turn it on, by the way, there's a little divot out on this left hand side. Just put your finger over the top and there's a button just there for it. Your grill is up here. Obviously that's, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You do just literally, same as the hob, push this in and turn to the left whilst pressing on this little piezo igniter. All right, that's by the way, that's not noisy. That's the same as all of them. They just make that noise. And you got a light in the back. So that's all there. Your boiler is nice and simple. It's gas only, and to use it, I've got it there at the moment on 60 degrees hot water at the very top. So you see where the little where it's aiming. So literally, if I just turn it off, so this is in its off position. If I want heating only, I go down 1. If I want heating and hot water, I go down 2. If I only want hot water, I go up 1 for 40 degrees or up 2 for 60. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. After about an hour of having the hot water on the boiler, you can literally come to your tap, and I can guarantee you now, actually, it'll be warm already. There you go. So there's warm. Actually, that's actually really hot. So about half an hour of being on. Can you see this? I don't know if you can see the steam. Oh, there you go. You can see how hot it is. Right. So that's how the boiler works. Okay. So you literally, well, if you're finding it difficult to remember at all, some of the older vans have got 2 different settings. They've literally got, it's the same design, but the 2 settings. Up is your summer setting. So if you go up 1 or 2, you only get hot water, which is obviously what you want in the summer. So right now we only want up because we've got hot water only. You don't need the heating on. But if you go back to the middle and then go down, you've got your winter setting. So winter setting is hot water and heating. If you don't want hot water at all, you can leave it at the one that I'm on now and just get heating on its own. But if you want your proper winter setting, you go all the way down to the bottom for heating and hot water. Back to the middle for off. Make sure that you turn it off before you start going anywhere. But basically you need to just do that to use your boiler. Down here is a bit of storage and probably a little bit of access to the top of the boiler if I remember rightly, or it could just be storage. Bed pulls out to make up like that, so you literally just put it all together to make up the bed. Nice and easy there. Only a couple of bits to show you left. I've shown you in the bathroom anyway already, but only briefly. Your light switches for in the bathroom are up there, so that'll do those 2 bulbs up there. Shower, like I said to you, I've tested all of this. It all works perfectly well. I've resealed all the parts that I thought were a bit ugly and a little bit sort of like coming away. So I've done all down there in the corners, all the way down here as well, and quite a way up on here, and the same down there as well. So all of the bits that, like I said, all the bits that I could see that weren't sort of actually doing their job, I've gone back over as best I could. Let me just put this away properly. Like that, so that won't flap around now. Okay, so right. So I don't think there's a huge amount more. You've got this little section down here. I've left this up like this so that I can show you it. It looks to me like you've got a solar panel. So that's just down there, that little controller there. The wires are going directly to your battery here. You've got 2 leisure batteries. So these 2 batteries here are both leisures. So essentially, it's all quite simple. These German vehicles are built nice and, you know, very, very similar to each other. You've got at the back there is an electro block, they call them, electro block. So basically that there is your power supply unit. So that supplies all the power to all the different places that it needs to. So you haven't got to worry about anything really. It does all sorts. When you plug the hook up into the van, the charger is inside there. You've also got something called a split charge relay. So when you start the engine up, the alternator under the bonnet charges your engine battery, as you're probably aware, and then the power from there split charges and then goes straight through to here as well. So your leisure batteries get charged at the same time as your engine. All right. So as long as your engine's running or you're hooked up on mains, you're going to have charge going into these batteries as well. But you've also got the solar panel down there, which will be giving you a little bit of charge as well. All right. So as for leisure batteries, you're pretty safe, to be honest. You're not going to be able to go too far wrong because you've got so much in the way of charging. So I'll put this all back together in a minute. We'll give it a quick clean through and it'll all be ready for you. The new gas struts up here, just show you there. This is obviously up at the moment. I know you've seen this already, but they're all upright and ready to go. So I think I've shown you everything I can. And if there's anything else you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, obviously just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.